Oh, y'all didn't see that, did you? Of course you did. It's just me with my shenanigans. You know who it is. It's Zeus Cruz of Olympian Multimedia, giving you another segment of Get Things Done. This particular segment, as you already know, I am a published author, diving in the realm of poetry. So in this segment, we're just going to break down 3 easy steps for those who are aspiring to be poets and want to transition their poems into a manuscript to get it ready for publishing. It's pretty easy. There's not a lot of overhead as far as complexity to it in order to start your poems. And we're just going to break it down in simple terms how you can start your poetry project. And then I'm going to present y'all a brand new poem and recite to you a brand new poem that I wrote. So let's get into it. Let's start with that first step. As you notice here, I got an outline for you right there. Is to discover who you are as a poet and what style you desire to write in. So what does that mean by discovering who you are as a poet? Well, you got to get an understanding of what you're trying to convey in your poetry. What's the message? What's the concept? What do you want the reader to kind of take away from your poetry? And then once you get to that point, then you need to figure out what kind of style in which you want to write your poetry. So as you can notice here, we got a few examples. You can write in lyric poetry, which deals more with emotions. So you're going to describe yourself, describe a certain setting or maybe other people. You're going to concentrate a little bit more on just an emotional aspect of your writing and kind of go in depth with that. You can also write as a sonnet. A sonnet is almost as a song form. The way you structure a song, usually you deal with verses. You might have a bridge. A bridge will lead into the chorus part. And you will kind of structure it in a similar fashion with your poetry. You can also write a prose. A prose is basically written in paragraph form. So you might want to take a specific concept. And if you want to really elaborate on that concept more in depth, then maybe writing a prose poetry or in that form might do you some justice to just to get your point across. Also, too, you have a free or narrative poem that you can do. So a free verse is basically, there's no structure to it whatsoever. You're really not putting in any kind of stanza form. And it doesn't necessarily have to rhyme. And basically, you could be continuous with whatever topic that you're discussing with your poem. You could kind of just translate that and move along. Again, there's no size or length to it. That's why it's called a free verse. Then you have the narrative verse, which is you're basically trying to tell a story within your poem. So obviously that's going to be a lot more structured because you're going to have a centralized theme and then you're going to build off of that. So let's drop down to the second point about developing your writing based off your personality and what is closest to your thoughts and emotions. So a lot of times, a lot of the stuff that you're going to be writing, especially when you get to the point of publishing, it's going to be people that you don't personally know that's going to read your work. So as an author, as a poet, you want people to read and get an understanding of who you are as a person. And the best way to do that is to kind of bring your personality to life through your writing. And then to use to create concepts or themes for your poems. Sometimes that could be a little bit hard when you're trying to decipher like what exactly I want to write about. Well, how about you just start with your thoughts and your emotions, the stuff that you think about on a daily basis. What are you passionate about? What do you have strong feelings for? That could be a great premise for you to start your poetry and then to just build off of that. So let's lead on to the third point, as you see there, is to create a format for your writing and utilize various tools such as Poet Assistant. So what does it mean by creating a format? Well, it's best if you're going into writing that you want to come up with basically, essentially, a game plan. Because sometimes it's hard to just go in and just start writing. It's one thing if you just want to jot down ideas that you want to use later. But if you're looking to actually make the scope of your actual poem project, you might want to format some type of outline that can help you so that you can develop your theme, your concept, or whatever thoughts you're trying to manifest in your poem. So I have a quick example for you right here, guys. I got it written on here. And basically, this is kind of like, kind of a setup, kind of a formatting outline that I use to kind of generate ideas and kind of build off of them. As you notice here, I start off with my poem is going to deal with my mind itself. And obviously what I'm thinking and how my mind, I liken it to my home. And then from there, you can kind of break it down as far as the similarities and how you can build a bridge between the two. So within the mind, with my mind, you notice there's different compartments responsible for various functions. So there's certain parts of the brain that deals with the creative side of us. There's certain parts of our minds that deal with the decision making, so forth and so on. And then if you notice with my home, I have different rooms that make up the structure of the home. So you see how there's the similarities there, despite the fact that they're two different things. There's a bridge that you can make between the rooms in your home and the compartments in your mind, or the different thoughts in your mind, and how you can liken them to different rooms in your home. And then to create that bridge, I feel protected within my thoughts, similar to how I feel in my home. So when you ask people, where do you feel the most safe? Where do you feel the most secure? Most people will tell you, my home. There's no better feeling than me being home. This is where I feel comfortable. This is where I feel secure, where I can really be my true self. So the whole scope of this poetry project dealing with my mind is that I'm likening my mind in that kind of setting, that I feel very comfortable within my mind, within my thoughts. And you notice here you have happy home, happy thoughts. That's something that's a theme that you can derive into your poetry. Or you could go to the other end of the spectrum and you could talk about situations, possibly where it could be like a sad home, where you're dealing with certain issues within the home. Good Lord, we got some calls coming in. I didn't really have a question segment, did I? There's no question thing going. Never mind. Let's just keep it rolling. The point is, happy home, happy thoughts. Sad home, sad thoughts. You could go on both wavelengths and discuss in detail what you mean by that, and then make the comparison, make the bridge between the similarities. And this is just a quick outline that you can utilize yourself. The point is, you got to find what works for you, what type of format that you're going to utilize in order to come up with your poems. And then use different resources. The one I use personally is called Poet Assistant. It's a great app. Definitely download it. If you are, again, aspiring to be a writer, it's a great tool to use. It has a thesaurus on there. It has a tab on there to give you the definition of the word. And then it also gives out different antonyms, synonyms, sentence structure, how to use it within the sentence. It even has a translator on there just to give you how do you pronounce the word. Great tool to use. Definitely gives you a list of different types of words that you can utilize with it within your sentence structure. It's just a great app. There's plenty of other apps that you can utilize as well. Just find one that works to your benefit. I know personally, I recommend Poet Assistant. Definitely check it out, download it. So, I hope these tips and techniques will help you as far as trying to find your way to comprising your poem. And to kind of like put everything together. That's why I want to take this opportunity to go ahead and recite to you a brand new poem that I wrote. And it's entitled Sediment or Disorder. I hope you enjoy. Will this feeling pass? Or am I developing a condition as my contentment morphs into madness? Mind over matter, heart in shambles, as I fall deeper into the rabbit hole of depression, where my bliss of nirvana and the emptiness of limbo meet in my psyche's intersection. What a sight to behold, a walking corpse in need of a resurrection. I am aware of the reason on why I'm depressed, yet I'm not distinguishing the meaning behind it. For I cling to the celestial bodies of faith, love, and hope. Even my demonstration of strength cannot overcome the burden placed upon me. And it has increasingly become useless to remedy a way to cope. Blessing and suffering has bonded a union in holy matrimony, for such entities have eloped. If I smile, it was by accident, a forced reflex to mask the hurt, for I have become numb to my senses as I stagger about with no direction, needing to step out from the bitter cold. An endless saga between my emotions and thoughts add chapters to my book of pain. Yet no one cares enough to view how the story unfolds. Those I love are ones they profess to love in return, yet cast me away as a rejection, claim to accept me unconditionally, but a string was attached, for they were seeking something absolute like perfection. A tug of war as I should be, abnormal as is how I've been labeled, as if I teleported into another dimension. I search for a means to enhance, trying tirelessly to create possibilities. Yet they failed to come to fruition because no one is willing to give me a chance. Speak so highly of my intelligence, yet not willing to work together to create spectacles that define brilliance, magnificence, and excellence. Instead, their preference is to assassinate my character and become a modifier of distractions. Killer of Morpheus, I bid adieu to my dreams. How I climbed to reach the altitude of the summit, yet fall expectantly and not reach the descent of the plummet. Amazing the joy I felt, basking in darkness and not growing within the sunlight. Amazing how I find solace in death, seeing myself lay as do the hands of time touching midnight. This is more than just a feeling, but an embodiment of me, for I felt this way my entire life. So explain to me, how can something feel so wrong, feel so right? So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you take a clue out of that as well. Just a last final note that when you comprise your poem, don't be afraid to think outside the box. Use metaphors, use comparisons between different things. And trust me, people, when they read your poems, read your material, they'll definitely have something to resonate to and relate to. So that's it, guys. I'm glad you guys were tuned in. You know who it is. It's Zeus Cruz of Olympian Multimedia. And the only thing left to say is get things done. I'll check y'all later.